In today's show, AI regulation in Africa, the Allianz Risk Barometer for 2026, and the Jackson Price Challenge. On the week of the 15th of March 2026, this is Priviso Live. How's it, and welcome to the show. I'm Lynn, and joining me today, as always, is Stephen and Kayla. AI regulation is finally moving at home, and right across Africa, cyber risk is still keeping everyone up at night, and we have a story about a lobster that moved markets by $50 billion in a single trading day. Yes, a lobster. But first things first, South Africa's draft AI policy has officially entered the cabinet approval process, and if you work in tech, compliance, or security, this is the one you've been waiting for.
Yeah, Lynn. And it's not just a South Africa story either. We've got the 2026 Allianz Risk Barometer results, a cracking piece from IT Web about AI agents becoming super users inside your organization. And then we're going to tie it all together with a tweet from a 16-year-old that says a lot about where this technology is heading. Sharp. Let's get into it.
And I'll be keeping these two on their toes as usual. Let's go.
Right, so on the 24th of February this year, the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies, the DCDT, briefed Parliament on the progress of the draft National AI Policy. And the big news is that this thing has cleared the socio-economic impact assessment system, it's got sign-off across all Director General clusters, and it is now progressing through the Cabinet approval process.
Yeah, and that might sound like bureaucratic gobbledygook, but what it actually means is that there's real, broad, interdepartmental buy-in. This policy has survived the gauntlet of government sign-off. We're expecting it to be gazetted for a 60-day public consultation in March 2026.
Which is like now, Stephen, this month.
Exactly, Kayla. Now, as we say. Finalization is targeted for the 2026-2027 financial year, and then sector-specific strategies and supporting regulatory measures follow from 2027-2028.
So what's actually in this policy? 5 core pillars. First up, capacity and talent development. Government wants to build national AI skills through education and industry collaboration, backed by better digital infrastructure, more compute capacity, better connectivity, support for SMEs. And honestly, South Africa cannot afford to be left behind on AI talent.
The second pillar is responsible AI governance. That means practical safeguards, addressing data misuse, cybersecurity threats, misinformation, and deepfakes. The policy wants AI systems deployed with clear accountability, and it explicitly says they must not cause harm.
Third, and this one is really important for our audience, ethical and inclusive AI. The policy calls out something called imported bias. That's when an AI model trained predominantly on global North datasets gets applied to South African demographics and gives us discriminatory outcomes. Think credit scoring, hiring tools, fraud detection. Government wants AI trained on representative local datasets with national ethical guidelines and real developer accountability.
Aish, that one's huge, hey? Because a lot of the AI tools being deployed here right now were not trained on South African data at all.
Spot on. Fourth pillar, cultural preservation and global integration. And this one genuinely moved me. The DCDT specifically mentioned digitizing Khoisan languages using AI, using technology to preserve indigenous knowledge and language systems, while also keeping South Africa globally competitive. That's a beautiful ambition.
And fifth, human-centered deployment. The policy explicitly rejects black box AI in high-impact situations. If your AI system makes a decision that affects someone's life, their loan application, their medical treatment, their legal outcome, a human being must remain accountable for that outcome. No hiding behind the algorithm.
As we discussed previously, a principle that Dario Amodei has fought for.
Now, the big structural question everyone was asking, will South Africa create a single AI regulator like the EU has done? And the answer is no. The DCDT confirmed they're going with a multi-regulator model. AI governance gets embedded within existing sector-specific frameworks. ICASA was mentioned specifically for the digital infrastructure and communications angle. This is closer to the UK and Indian approaches.
Which means if you're in financial services, you'll be looking at FSCA, healthcare, the health regulators, telecoms, ICASA. Each sector maps AI obligations onto existing compliance frameworks. POPIA, King 4 prudential standards, these become the baseline.
The bottom line for businesses, don't wait for the final policy document. Start reviewing your AI deployments now. Map your data flows, identify your high-impact systems, assess your governance structures. The consultation window is open, and early engagement could influence how sector-specific strategies are ultimately framed.
Moving on, the Allianz Risk Barometer for 2026 is out, and I'll be honest, it's not exactly cheerful reading, but it is essential reading for anyone in risk, security, or ICT management.
This survey covers over 3,300 risk management experts from 97 countries, and for the fifth consecutive year, cyber incidents tops the list as the #1 business risk globally. It actually hit its highest ever score this year, 42% of respondents, pulling further ahead of everything else than it ever has before.
I mean, at what point do we just accept that cyber risk is a permanent feature of the business landscape like load shedding used to be?
Fair point, Kayla. And it's getting more sophisticated too. Ransomware now accounts for 60% of the value of large cyber claims. Data theft is at 40% and rising fast. And critically, attackers are now using AI to automate their operations, scale their attacks, and lower the barrier for less technically skilled criminals. So it's not just more frequent, it's smarter.
And the big mover this year is AI itself. It jumped from number 10 in 2025 all the way to number 2 in 2026, the biggest single jump in the barometer's 15-year history. Liability concerns, agentic systems doing things nobody planned for, deepfakes, model hallucinations. It's all contributing. Businesses are realizing that deploying AI without governance is its own category of risk.
What I found interesting is that about half of respondents still believe AI brings more benefits than risks to their industry, but about a fifth say the opposite. So we're not all doom and gloom, just cautiously doom and gloom.
Cautiously doom and gloom is basically our show tagline at this point. Business interruption dropped to 3rd, changes in legislation are at 4, driven largely by tariff uncertainty, and political risk hit its highest ever position at number 7. A very 2026 list, I'd say.
Right, and this brings us perfectly to a piece out this week from IT Web, issued by Accelera Digital Group, featuring their CTO, Daniel Acton. And the central idea is this: AI agents are no longer just chatbots, they're becoming super users inside your organization, and we are not treating them like it.
Yeah, and this is critical. An AI agent that can process transactions, access sensitive client files, initiate workflows, and interact with core business systems has effectively the same access privileges as a senior human user, except it operates continuously at machine speed across multiple systems simultaneously. Acton's line is worth quoting directly. The moment an AI agent can take action inside your organization, its access to systems and data are the same as any other users, and the agent should be treated accordingly.
And this isn't hypothetical. The Cybersecurity Forecast 2026 report is already flagging that prompt injection attacks, where a bad actor embeds malicious instructions into content that an AI agent reads and then executes, are going to rise sharply. Adversaries are targeting enterprise AI deployments specifically for data exfiltration and sabotage.
And then there's what they call shadow agents. Stephen, explain that one for anyone who hasn't heard the term.
Think shadow IT, but potentially much worse. An employee with the best of intentions spins up an autonomous AI agent without IT oversight. Suddenly you've got invisible data pipelines flowing through your systems, and nobody knows they're there. Acton puts it bluntly: an unsanctioned AI agent is not just a compliance risk, it is a potential new attack vector.
For South Africa specifically, this is not a theoretical concern. We consistently rank among the most targeted countries for cyber attacks in the world, with POPIA, FSCA regulations, and King the Forb all creating compliance obligations. The stakes of getting agentic AI governance wrong are exceptionally high. Security by design isn't a nice to have. It has to be built into the data architecture before you deploy any agent. Governance is the enabler, not the barrier. It's not just South Africa getting its regulatory house in order. Across the continent, things are moving remarkably fast. By 2026, 44 African countries now have data protection laws in place, and 38 of them have set up fully functional enforcement authorities. The grace period, as one regulatory report put it, is officially over.
Nigeria is the standout story. Their National Digital Economy and E-Governance Bill, expected to pass this very month, requires high-risk AI systems to obtain licenses and submit annual impact assessments. High risk covers finance, public administration, surveillance, and automated decision-making. Non-compliance, fines of up to 2% of annual gross revenue. That is real enforcement with real teeth.
Kenya, Ethiopia, and Côte d'Ivoire are all doing their own thing too. Ethiopia's AI Institute reports directly to the Prime Minister, which tells you something about how seriously they're taking this at the highest levels of government. And in July 2024, the African Union approved a Continental AI strategy covering all 55 member states. Phase 1, governance structures and resource mobilization, is underway right now.
And there are real opportunities here too. Regulatory sandboxes are active across 15 African countries. Rwanda attracted over $76 million in AI ecosystem investment through its participatory policy development process. Nigeria jumped 31 places in the Government AI Readiness Index in 2025 alone. Compliance isn't just about avoiding fines, it's becoming a credibility signal that attracts investment.
The broader takeaway: Africa is transitioning from aspirational guidelines to enforceable legal frameworks. For security and ICT practitioners operating across the continent, region-specific compliance strategies are no longer optional. The era of treating African data protection law as theoretical is well and truly over.
Okay, last story, and this one had me absolutely grinning. We came across a tweet this week from a young guy called Jackson Price. He's 16 years old. He's given himself 6 months to make $50,000 in revenue. His tools, OpenClaw, Claude Code, and 6 months of time, that's it. He says he'll post daily. Wins, losses, everything in between. He looks absolutely chuffed in the photo sitting at his desk. Day one energy. I love it.
When I was 16, I was stressing about my exam marks, not building an AI-powered revenue business.
Same, Lynn. But here's the thing. Why does a 16-year-old in his bedroom think OpenClaw is going to make him $50,000? Because of what's been happening globally. And nothing illustrates it better than the Tencent story. Tencent stock jumped more than 10% in a single trading day last Tuesday. That's roughly $50 billion added to market value in one day. Analysts were baffled. Financial models, earnings forecasts, policy speculation, none of it explained it.
And the reason? A lobster, a product called Q-Claw. And if that sounds ridiculous, just wait.
So the timeline goes. Sunday night, screenshots of an internal test build of QC-Claw start circulating across Chinese tech communities. Monday, it's trending on Weibo. Invitation codes are selling on secondary markets. Tuesday morning, Rednote is flooded with installation tutorials. Tencent engineers are reportedly helping people install the software in person at pop-up street booths. Tuesday close, Tencent up 10%, and the company hadn't even formally launched the product yet.
So, what actually is Q-Claw? It's built on an open-source framework called OpenClaw, which we have discussed previously, and is the same tool our friend Jackson Price is using, by the way. And OpenClaw is not a chatbot. It is an always-running AI agent. It can operate software, access files, monitor dashboards, execute workflows. Think less ChatGPT, more digital employee who never logs off.
And what made QC-Claw specifically special in the Chinese market is one thing: WeChat integration. China's entire digital life runs through WeChat. Work messages, payments, communities, customer service. Connecting an AI agent to WeChat doesn't just make it useful, it makes it live inside the interface people already use every single day.
And the person who led that product launch? Shuyu Zhang, 26 years old, humanities graduate. Her team at launch, 1 product manager, that's her, and 5 engineers. Marketing budget, 0 rands. Result, a $50 billion market reaction. The product spread entirely through organic user curiosity.
The pattern here is familiar to anyone who's watched tech history. Android, Linux, Kubernetes. American open-source infrastructure regularly becomes mass-market culture in China. OpenClaw was created in Silicon Valley, and some of the most dramatic real-world adoption is now happening in Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen.
And that brings us back to Jackson Price, because the bigger signal here isn't really about Tencent or WeChat or even QC-Claw specifically. It's about what happens when AI agents become the primary interface to computing. Instead of opening dozens of apps and tools, you just run persistent digital workers. The traditional app economy starts to dissolve.
For our audience, security and ICT professionals, this matters enormously. Because every Jackson Price deploying AI agents, every enterprise spinning up agentic workflows, every Shuyu Zhang launching a zero-budget viral product, they're all creating new attack surfaces, new governance questions, new identity and access management challenges. The technology is moving faster than the frameworks.
Which is exactly why the South African AI policy matters, why the Allianz Risk Barometer findings matter, why Daniel Acton's super user warning matters, and why the African continent's regulatory awakening matters. The lobster is just the beginning. The next wave of AI products may not look like software at all.
And that's a wrap. As always, stay sharp, stay curious, and stay compliant. If you found this useful, share it with a colleague.
Until next week, take care of yourselves, secure your systems.
This has been Priviso Live. We hope you found today's episode interesting. If you did, please share it with your colleagues, your friends, your family. Word of mouth is a strong driver of podcast growth.
If you want to hear more of the same, subscribe to Priviso Live on Apple, Samsung, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or YouTube.
And if you need security, risk, or ICT legislation advice, contact Priviso Consulting directly at admin@priviso.co.za.
And if you have topics you'd like us to cover or questions about anything we discussed today, reach out to us. We love hearing from our listeners.
I'm Steven.
And I'm Kayla. Thanks for listening.
Stay safe,
secure.
everyone.
Stay safe.